All right, so we are back going to do some ranked core set 2019 drafting here on this rainy Monday. Thanks for checking out the stream. Thanks for watching. We're going to try and do a little better than we have the last couple of drafts. The last few drafts, I think we've gotten a little too cute and focused on more pet cards and strategies that aren't quite as effective at just sort of playing to the board, having removal spells, and kind of getting in there. So let's see if we can't improve on that going forward. All right, so let's jump in here and let's get started. Just check my audio settings here. I had turned down the audio pretty significantly earlier, so let's turn that back up. So right away, really fascinating opening pack here. Patient Rebuilding is completely busted in limited. Not only do I love milling, but this card is just super powerful. Not only does it mill them, you draw cards, and ironically enough, Psychic Corrosion is right next to it. We're going to take the Patient Rebuilding because mill is great and Patient Rebuilding is busted. If we wheel the Psychic Corrosion, well, that would be really something. Assuming Patient Rebuilding wasn't here, I don't think I'd start with the Psychic Corrosion. I think I'd probably just take the Lightning Strike. It's a great damage spell. Removal can go to the face. Electrify is also good, and Skymarch Bloodletter is a solid common. But Patient Rebuilding is totally busted, so we'll start there and sort of see where this leads us. Yeah, we don't anticipate any creatures leaving our graveyard, so we're not going to need to do that. Double cast is interesting. We're probably going to have some number of instants or sorceries in this deck, but double red and double blue would really commit us to sort of heading down that direction. Plus, I think Omen Speaker, since we've already started with Patient Rebuilding, we do really want to try to play that. Or the Sky Scanner as a sort of flyer, blocker, draw card are probably better options here for us. I'm going to take the Omen Speaker. It's a slightly better blocker. I think the Scry 2 is roughly equivalent to drawing a card, and we just want to try to filter through our deck to get to the lands and the Patient Rebuilding we need to cast it. Okay, so Strangling Spores is a reasonable removal spell, and we could kind of look to be like a blue-black mill deck. Surge Mare as an 05 that you can pump up and draw cards, I think is probably better than the removal spell. This can help us hold down the ground in the early going as we try to get towards Patient Rebuilding, and then we can also attack with it and try and get in and loot to get towards Patient Rebuilding. So I think we'll take the Surge Mare there, but Strangling Spores or Anticipate, Boggart Brute, they're all solid considerations as well. Going into this pack here, this is sort of an interesting decision point. Bone to Ash is a great counterspell, also draws us a card, keeps us in solidly blue, which is great. Alternatively, we could take the Epicure of Blood, which is a solid 5-drop, and then to the extent that we get something like a Vampire Neonate or Skymarch Bloodletters, there's sort of incidental life gain things here that could be relevant. or we could take the Enigma Drake as a powerful sort of flyer that would lead us to prioritizing having some more spells in our deck to kind of turn that on. I think, Scholar of Stars, if we have some incidental artifacts, like we were able to pick up some of the Aviation Pioneers, you know, could be a cool way to draw some cards, but I think fundamentally it's less powerful than something like a Bone to Ash or an Enigma Drake, or even a Macabre Waltz, bringing stuff back to our hand. So, we just have to decide like what we think this deck best looks like. Do we want the counterspell, or do we want the Enigma Drake that dips into red and makes us want to consider getting some more spells? I think I'm going to take the Bone to Ash here. Okay, so we've got Aether Shield Artificer, which is a solid 3/3, and if we have some artifact creatures that we pick up, being able to pump them up and make them indestructible is powerful. It turns your incidental Thopter tokens from an Aviation Pioneer, or your Gearsmith Guardians, or your Field Creepers, if you end up playing some of those, into pretty relevant, powerful threats. So this is certainly a powerful effect. We could also take Reliquary Tower if we think we're going to have too many cards in our hand. I think that's a little speculative at this point. We'd rather have something that helps advance our game plan. We could take the Flyer here as just a solid 4-mana play that lets us get on the board and interact with flyers, or we could take another Omen Speaker, letting us scry, dig through our deck, find different things. I think I'm going to take the Omen Speaker here, really valuing that card selection, filtering from the scries. All right, well, if we're doing mill stuff, we can grab the Millstone. It's pretty slow, but coupled with Patient Rebuilding, I think that could be a powerful way to advance our mill game plan. Alternatively, there are some other considerations here. We could take reasonable 2-drops in Viashino Pyromancer or Child of Night. Dagger Basilisk is a solid 3 that holds down the ground nicely, although I think between our 2 Omen Speakers and our Surge Mare, we're not doing too poorly on holding on the ground. Explosive Apparatus is kind of a slow artifact removal spell for some stuff. I don't think we would take that over some of this other stuff here. I think I'm just going to, despite my proclamation at the start of the video that I'm going to be more reasonable and play more to the board and try and just play more nuts and bolts limited. We open Patient Rebuilding, and there's a possibility a Psychic Corrosion might come back around too from that first pack. So I think I'm going to not heed my own advice, grab this Millstone, and see what happens. Okay, so I think here we'll take the Gearsmith Guardian. Solid ground creature and some artifact synergies, sort of exist in blue or white, which we could look to play. I think here I'll just take the land. Could be relevant. We're going to want to try to draw cards. And most of those other cards are kind of irrelevant. Tectonic Rift is terrible. None of these cards are particularly good. Thornhide Wolves is probably the best of them. Blue-green mill isn't necessarily a thing per se, but it's probably the best card here. Alternatively, we could take a 1-drop that, if we get our Millstone or Gearsmith Guardian out, turns into a 2/2. I think we'll have plenty of opportunities to get Gearsmith Prodigies here later. So I think I'm just going to take the Thornhide Wolves. as just like the best card in the pack. None of these cards are particularly good. Just take a Wall of Vines. We're not really like going super wide and trying to attack people down, so I'll take the Goblin Motivator. Take the Rustwing Falcon here, and take a Naturalize, I suppose. And Child of Night, and swap. So we're solidly in blue, doing mill things. You know, we have a couple green cards, but we're not really committed to anything else super hard, so we really get to sort of focus our energies on what we might want to do here. What is this? All right, so there's no real way we could reasonably ever cast this. It can be pretty powerful, though. You know, it attacks, they sacrifice a permanent of your choice, and then they reveal the top card of their library and put it on the battlefield if it's a permanent. You know, so if you pick something good, they could replace it with something crappy, but we're not going to be able to cast that, so I think we're going to leave Vivictus Osmati behind and see what else we have here. Mirror Image can copy any creatures that we control. Right now we don't have any particularly busted creatures that we want to copy. Skyrider Patrol is a great uncommon. We technically have a Thornhide Wolves, and this being a flyer that you can pay to pump and give flying for the turn, pump permanently and give flying to the end of the turn, is definitely powerful. Fountain of Renewal is sort of a dirtily gain life, draw a card type thing. Is probably something we're interested in, but I think we want to be committing to the board a little bit more. If we want to go white, we've got an early drop and then Angel of the Dawn. Pumping up our creatures and giving them vigilance at the end of the turn could be relevant. If we want to dip our toes into red, Spark Tongue Dragon is fine, but probably not as good as some of these other options here. I think I'm going to move into... I'm going to grab the Skyrider Patrol. Thornhide Wolves is a solid 5, and I just think this effect is really quite powerful, and having some flyers and being able to chip in the air with like our Omen Speakers later on, or our Surge Mare to filter through our deck, I think is going to be important for us. Let's see, what else do we have here? So Anticipate is a solid card selection option. We have a couple of artifacts, so Scholar of Stars as a card draw is a possibility. We are thinking green, so Rock's Oracle as a expensive card draw could be a consideration, though I don't think it's as good as on rate as like a Scholar of Stars if you're able to actually get the card, or just using an Anticipate. I think I'm going to pick up the Disperse here as a way to just interact with what our opponent's doing on the board, buy us some time. Detection Tower. Yeah, I don't think there's a ton of hexproof stuff going on here we need to be overly concerned with. So, Skymarch Bloodletter is great, but we're not really in black, not really in white either per se. Although we could consider dipping back into white. really, we've got the Skyrider Patrol that's in green and Thornhill Woes that are okay, but there's not a ton going on in green that we're so committed to that we couldn't leave for the Artificer. We do have the Gearsmith Guardian that we could potentially pump up, but I think the on-color sort of removal spell here in blue is probably where we want to be. So we'll just go ahead and grab the Dwindle. Yeah, hey there, Austin. It looks like there might be a little bit of lag going on with the chat. I'm just going to take a second and see what might be going on there. All right, so there we go. I think that the chat is back. Apologies for the technical difficulties there. Let's get back to the draft. I think here we'll just take a solid 3-drop flyer. Our offense will be sort of taking to the skies, and just try and get to the late game where we can pick up some wins with either our flyers or our patient rebuilding. Aviation Pioneer is something I definitely want to pick up here. As we've been mentioning, sort of those incidental artifacts could be relevant for future Scholar of Stars or something like that. Plus, you get the sort of 2-for-1 of a ground body and a flyer, so I'll grab that. That's a solid pickup here. I think another Aven Wind Mage is better than a Gearsmith Prodigy, so we'll go ahead and grab that. Of note that Psychic Corrosion didn't end up wheeling from the first pack, so who knows, maybe there's some other bot in here just going all in on the mill plan. I think I'll just take this big curve topping Sea Serpent here. We could potentially get it into the air with the Skyrider Patrol, or just make it unblockable with its own ability, which could be relevant. Here, there's a consideration to grab the Giant Spider as just another way to hold the skies, but I think with 2 Aven Wind Mages, the Thopter from Aviation Pioneer, the Skyrider Patrol, we're probably okay there, and just picking up another Disperse here is where I'd rather be. Some buy us some time, get some potential problems off the board that we then might be able to, bone to ash if they're a problematic creature. Let's take a Scholar here. Here I'm going to take the Scholar of Stars. I think we've got the possibility to convert that into a card later on. That makes it worth it. Hey there, JT Arac. Thanks for the follow. Good to have you here. 18 female Hawaii. All right. And it's 1999 again, and we're all on AOL Instant Messenger chat. This is terrific. Thanks for coming to hang out with us how we draft here. Nothing in this pack super relevant. Take the Neonate because I find those annoying. So deny someone else a Neonate. Nothing here that we're going to play. I don't think we're playing the first Wall of Vines that we have. I'm actually going to move that to the sideboard for now. We'll take a look in deck building just to make sure. We've already got 2 Disperses to put things back in their hand. So I don't know that we'll play this totally lost, but we'll pick it up here. And let's get the Sure Strike out of here. It's Forest. All right, so pack 3. Great rare for us here. Gin of Wishes is a super powerful card on its own right. 5/5 flyer for 4 is a solid playable for sure. And then the ability here to look at the top card of your library and play it for free. That's super powerful. So we'll definitely be grabbing that. There's a Dwindle here that would be nice to have. And then Skilled Animator is actually kind of cool. We could turn our Millstone or our Aviation Pioneer Thopter token into a 5/5, but I don't think we have enough artifacts that's super reliably going to happen, and Gin of Wishes is way better anyway, but something to think about if that ends up wheeling around. Yeah, the Gin does have a lot of text, that's for sure. But it's a lot of good text, so we're happy with that. This pack, Essence Scatter is great, just an early counter spell to hold down the fort. Or later in the game, we trade up on mana for some 4 or 5, 6 mana threat of theirs. So I think that's a good pickup for us here. And Declared Dominance is actually a pretty good card as well. It works better with some of the other stuff going on in green, in the sense that if you declare dominance, like your what's that 3-drop, the Basilisk or whatever, then all of their creatures have to block your now 5/5 Death Toucher, and you can sort of use it as a board clear effect in that capacity. We have a bunch of flyers, so we could pump up our flyers and kind of get through in the air if they don't have flyers, or put this on our Omen Speakers and force all of their creatures to block our Omen Speaker and let some of our other stuff get through. But I've been happy with Essence Scatter in this format. I think having one of these is going to be important to just keep some scary threats off the board. And scatter number 1 indeed, Austin. We're going to go scatter here, but Declared Dominance was an interesting consideration for sure. So we've got this very pretty divination, which immediately catches my eye, both because drawing cards is great and these card styles are terrific. But I want to take a look at what our curve is like, and what our creature count is like, because I don't want to have too many kind of do-nothing cards that we think we're going to play. Because if the mill plan's not online, would you actually be able to kill our opponent here? So we might want to look to something like a Colossal Dreadmaw or a Thornhide Wolves as a potential finisher. We've got the Frilled Sea Serpent, so we should be able to get to 7 mana and make that unblockable. We could also take it to the skies with our Skyrider Patrol. Got a Gearsmith Guardian and a Thornhide Wolves, and then we've got 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got 5 flyers, so I'm actually not as concerned about killing our opponent as I was a second ago. So I think I'm going to take the Divination here and happily pick up a way to draw cards. And then, as discussed, here's the Basilisk. We'll grab one of these as another way to hold down the fort in the early going on the ground. We don't need another Sea Serpent. I don't think we are looking to play a Manolith here either. Alright, a second Bone to Ash. Given that our removal is essentially a couple of bounce spells and a dwindle, once things get in play, they're going to be in play. So having another counter spell could be a good pickup here. Or we could take this Elvish Rejuvenator as a way to make sure we hit our land drops and get up to 5 mana, so we can start playing some of our powerful 5 mana finishing cards. I'm not totally sure what's correct here. I think I'm going to take the counterspell, but it's possible that just having the 3 mana Rejuvenator might have been better for our deck there. I'm not totally sure. Combo for the win. I don't think we're playing a third Disperse. I don't know that we want this kind of mopey 5. 2 power is not, or 2 toughness, excuse me, is not particularly helpful. The question is, do we want another early O5? Or do we potentially want this trick that could let some of our flyers get through unblocked potentially? I think I'll just take the Wall of Mist. We just want to survive in the early going. I don't even know if we'll play that, to be honest. And we want to get to the mid and late game when some of our more powerful stuff starts coming online. We still don't have a ton of artifacts. So I don't know how reliably Scholar of Stars is going to be drawing a card, so I don't know that I want a second one. The 3/2 body is medium. That being said, I think we could take a Plummet here as a way to main deck some Flyers hate, given that we are a little light on removal, and the Flyers we do have, we want to be able to use to get through in the air. They're not particularly beefy. And with our Skyrider Patrol being able to give any of our creatures flying until the end of a turn, keeping the skies clear could be a good thing to do. So I'm going to grab the Plummet there. I think I'll take a cancel here. We don't have any aura spells, and we're not likely to pick any up. So I don't think Druid of Horns is going to make our deck. None of these other cards are super relevant, though, so I'll just take a Mind Rot. And take an Oaken Form. Take the Uncommon. Yeah, none of these cards are going in our deck. Sure. Alright, so we've got a very bizarre yeah, the removal is a little spotty here in the sense that we don't really have much. Let me get these nonsense cards out of here that we're not playing. Oops. Cut the planes, rather. We're going to need to fix the mana. In a minute, I accidentally took out a forest there, but this is sort of what we're looking at for the deck. We need to make a few cuts. As far as interaction goes, we've got 2 bounce spells. We've got Essence Scatter, Cancel, and 2 Bone to Ash. So we've got 3 counter creature spells, 2 bounce any non-land permanent spells, and then a cancel. For removal, we've got a Plummet to kill Flyers, which I do think I'm going to keep in, and then a Dwindle, which can kind of nerf something and let us get through. If we want to play the Totally Lost, that's another way to interact and bounce stuff. I'm not sure if we want to do that or not. I'm going to cut this Ghost form. I don't think we need to be trying to force through creatures unblocked for a turn. If we want to do something like that, we could use like a Disperse to just bounce it entirely back to their hand. Satyr Enchanter we're not playing because we don't have any white cards. Plenty of blue creatures. Alright. So we need to cut one more card on creatures. 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 and a half, or 15, 14 and a half, I guess, if you count the Aviation Pioneer. So we've got an okay number of creatures, so I could cut like the Tolarian Scholar. That's probably our worst creature. I think I like the Wall of Mist a little bit more as just an early doofus to hold down the ground. Mill and Totally Lost combo. That is true. If we do have the milling engine going on, we can totally lost something and then either mill it with the millstone or the patient rebuilding. So I do think I'll keep the totally lost. Plus, it's another spell, so we could use it in conjunction with our even wind mages to either pump them up on offense or defense, depending on what we think we need to do there. I don't know how I feel about this Oaken form. I think it's probably fine. I think I'm going to cut the Tolarian Scholar. And then I want to do we want to play Reliquary Tower? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double blue spells. No double green, only 5 green spells and a green ability. So I don't think the colorless mana is going to bite us too badly. I need more tobacco. It helps my spelling. Okay, that's a fascinating take. What are we looking at on draw effects? We've got the divination. Bone to Ash draws a card. That just lets us play cards. And then if we have patient rebuilding, that lets us draw cards too. But I don't think we're in any danger of having too many cards in our hand. So I think I'm actually going to cut the Reliquary Tower and add in another forest. We want to make sure that we've got green so that we can reliably use the Skyrider Patrol. I think it's going to be important to be able to do this and get some of these dweeby creatures up in the air potentially if we need to win damage. Wait a second. 7 and 6 is 13. Wow. Okay. I need to add lots more lands. For some reason, I did that in my head very poorly on the math front and thought that was 16. So 9 and 7 is 16. We'll play 16 lands. Good save there. Yeah, I think cutting the Reliquary Tower is totally fine. And I'm glad I looked at that to check if I wanted that land in my deck, because it led me to realize that I can't do math at all. And we were about to try and play a 13-land draft deck. So that would have been a disaster. So now let's go back in and take a look at what stuff we might want to cut here. I think we'll cut the Oaken form, and I'll cut one disperse, and then we'll go with this and sort of see how we do with this mostly blue, splash green, sort of flyers mill deck. Should be interesting. Not exactly what I expected when we opened Patient Rebuilding, but I think we've got some play here, and we certainly have a few very powerful cards in our deck, so we'll sort of see how this shakes out. Yeah, I don't think I wanted to go mono blue, just because I think Skyrider Patrol is super powerful, and I wanted to be able to play the Plummet, as I think that's going to be pretty reasonable. And I like having the Basilisk and the Thornhide Wolves as sort of reasonable creatures. We would be cutting this stuff for something like Tolarian Scholar and kind of other mopey stuff. So I think it's worth it to stick with the green. Only 2 lands, but we've got the Omen Speaker for the scry. We've got some 3-drops, so we should be able to filter or draw our way into some more lands here so that we can cast all of our spells. Look at that. Just like we drew it up. Land on top. I'm going to get the Omen Speaker up, though, and set up the top of my library. Plus, I just want to play to the board and use my mana. We already have 1 forest. I don't think we need a ton more. So I'm going to ship a forest to the bottom. We want this island. We can play Wind Mage next turn or Divination. I think I just want to guarantee to hit that 4th land drop. Skyrider Patrol is powerful, and because we have the Skyrider Patrol, an extra land isn't the worst thing that's ever happened because we can just use it for the ability. Here I'm just going to get the Wind Mage in play. We can take to the skies. No, I will not be attacking with Omen Speaker. We can take to the skies with this, and then next turn if we decide we want to cast Divination for some reason, it'll trigger the Wind Mage, although I'm pretty sure we're just going to play our land, attack for 2 in the air, and then play the Skyrider Patrol. And now we can start pumping up our Omen Speaker and attacking with 3 flyers next turn. And I think we're going to want to look to do that for sure. So what do I have? I've got 5 mana, so I could Divination now, trigger the Wind Mage, and then still have green-blue left over to do this. So I think I'll do that. And just so the auto-tapper doesn't do any shenanigans, we'll manually tap our lands here. Trigger our Wind Mage. Oh. Alright, so here's a consideration. I can keep open Essence Scatter to stop whatever 4 or 5 mana play they might have next turn. Or I can pump up the Omen Speaker to a 2/4 and attack for 6. I like our board position. Next turn we'll probably play Gearsmith Guardian, so I'm going to not use this ability here to hold open Essence Scatter for a turn. And then hopefully they'll play a creature threat here. And I can get some good value out of Essence Scatter before. That is both not a creature spell and a very scary threat. So I am not going to block. Alright. So I can dwindle this guy, so if it blocks, it dies. But I want to be able to... It's not an instant or a sorcery, so it won't trigger the Wind Mage, so I want to make sure I can get 5 damage through to the Ajani, because we want to get that off the board. That's going to be a problem. So I think what I'm going to do is go to combat and trigger this to make this a 2/4 and get it in the air, and then just send everyone at Ajani to get that off the table. And then so do I dwindle one of these creatures? Because this is something like I'd want to use a Disperse or a Totally Lost on. This having Vigilance is pretty annoying, so I might want to dwindle that. Alternatively, I could play Scholar of Stars as just a 3/2 chump, and if they attack with this, I'm happy to trade it off. Sorry, opponent, I am thinking. I think I'll dwindle the Pride Mate That has the possibility to grow. Yeah, save the counterspell. Yeah, that might have been better, because then I could have just dwindled before I attack next turn, and have this open, because I'm sure they'll play. Okay, that's not super threatening. That's annoying. All right, so they've got a 6/6 vigilance, which is annoying, but we have a pretty formidable air force. We have 7 mana. All right, so I can get this 5 drop out. So now I've got a 5/5. I'm going to decline to do this to keep Essence Scatter open. And I am going to attack with the 2 flyers, and I'm going to leave both these back to block. And if they want to... definitely countering that. Alright, so we got rewarded for keeping the Essence Scatter open there, because that would have killed our artifact and put another creature on the board, so that was big. Alright, so I'm going to start with the Scholar. Since we have the artifact, we can draw a card. Alright, perfect. So it's Bone to Ash. So I can play our land, we can leave open Bone to Ash. So I'm going to leave open Bone to Ash, I'm going to decline to do this. And I'm going to attack with our flyers and leave these 3 back to block. And again, happy to put this in any other creature. Creatures get +1/+1 in vigilance. No thank you. So getting rewarded again for having another counterspell. We still would have been able to trade with this in combat, but why bother letting another threat we have to deal with get onto the board? So here, okay, perfect. Yeah, so I was going to make our 5/5 fly, and then we were in good shape. So we got the first one. Yeah, thanks. Moving up slowly but surely through the ranks here. So yeah, solid first showing for the deck there. You know, having the counter spells in key spots was good for sure. Board the Weatherlight. That card is not good. Yeah, so I think that played out well. I missed the drink a beer comment earlier. Yeah, I'm gonna pass on the beer at 2:45 in the afternoon. Not because I don't want a beer, but I don't think our Magic play gets any better as we start drinking. That's for sure. Seems like a wasted opportunity. You mean an opportunity to get wasted? Yeah, I might be a little too old for the day drinking streams. But I'm not opposed to doing a booze stream at some point in the future. All right, so we've got. Let's see, we've got good mix of lands and spells. We've got the Omen Speaker to filter, and we've got probably our best card here, so we're definitely keeping this. And then to the extent that they have a flyer, well, this is just upside. Being on the play to boot, everything's coming up Millhouse, folks. All right. Cannon Vanguard is annoying, but that's all right. Because we can block it all day with our Omen Speaker. Let's see. Yeah, 4th land and a draw spell. Yeah, sign me up. I'll keep those just like that. White Weenie, run. Well, it's not straight White Weenie. They've got blue cards. Oh, and nothing to add to the board on turn. Turn 2 is great. So here, I think I want to get this. So first, I'm going to attack because we're going to have a big blocker out anyway. And if they want to use some weird combat trick to get my Omen Speaker on defense and save a point of damage, go nuts. All right, you gain 3 life. You got it. Now I'm going to play the Surge Mare out. We got a massive blocker, and then we can attack in with this potentially next turn if we want. And if they don't block, we could activate to loot. Horsefish. Oh yeah, the Surge Mare Horsefish. Very real. All right, so this is a defender that they can get flying, but we've got Plummet, so that's exciting. So we got to figure out how we want to handle this turn. We could just Divination and draw some cards right now, which would be a useful way to get towards a 5th mana for Patient Rebuilding. So that's perfectly reasonable. Alternatively, we could leave open Bone to Ash and look to counter a 4 mana creature they might play next turn. Or we can attack and activate this to draw and discard. But we like the contents of our hand. There's nothing here I'm dying to discard. So I think we're going to sit back and leave open Bone to Ash for a turn and reevaluate next turn. So we'll pass. Cards are good, but preventing them from having good cards in play is also good. And if they want to spend their turn here activating their Gargoyle Sentinel to get in for 3 in the air, then I'm happy to just use our Plummet and take it out of the sky. So, perfect. And land? 6-drop. That is not a land. I think I'm just going to make the same play. Again, if they spend most of their turn activating this, I'm happy to take it out of the sky with Plummet. And then if they've got a 4 or 5 drop that we're concerned about, I'm happy to just Bone to Ash that. And if you want to keep gaining life and drawing cards, that's fine too, because I would love to get this Patient Rebuilding in play, so the smaller your library, the better. Also, because they're a white-blue deck, I suspect there's some number of counterspells in their deck. Luminous Bonds. Sure, you got it. I am happy to have you Luminous Bonds that. Alright, land? Land. Alright, so we hit our 5th land. They've got 2 mana open, but I think I'm just going to run the Patient Rebuilding out there. I'm not. If they had 3 for something like a cancel, I'd be a little more concerned. And resolves. Alright, so they'll get the Time Walk. That's fine. Can I change my language to Protoss or Zerg? That's no. I don't believe that's something that I can do. Yeah, get your free life. Do your thing. All right, so they're tapped out. I'm going to get the Patient Rebuilding back in play. I think this is our fastest route to winning the game. Although we can get the Frilled Sea Serpent in play next turn if we want, and then potentially start making it unblockable. But given they have 26 life, all right, so you're going to start chipping in for 5 in the air. All right, so I'm going to block the Vanguard. I'm going to take 8 here, and now we'll just leave Plummet open until they try to attack again. uncomfortable chill. Okay, so we want to leave Essence Scatter open. We want to leave Plummet open. So that's 4 of our 6 mana, which means we don't have enough to also Divination. So I'm just going to pass with Plummet for the Gargoyle Sentinel and Essence Scatter for their next creature. And we'll just let Patient Rebuilding do its thing and do the best we can to preserve our life total. Send in the clowns. You've already gained your life, so I'll just let you declare an attacker. Now I will plummet your Gargoyle Sentinel. Alright, so we pick up the 2 for 1 there. And we'll pass to blockers. We'll bounce here, take 3. So this puts us down to 9. But I do think we're in good shape here. Oh, excellent. So we milled a Disperse, which is another way they could deal with our Patient Rebuilding, and a Cancel. Got a Disperse of our own. So I want to keep holding Essence Scatter up because we are winning with the Patient Rebuilding. The Knight of the Tusk is getting annoying. So I could bounce it, or I could spend 3 of my 6 mana to Divination. Now, I want to have Essence Scatter and Disperse open. So I'll wait till their turn. And then see what they do before combat. Yeah. See, I'm just going to counter this. We don't want them to have any more stuff on the board. And then when they go to declare attacks, I'm going to bounce this Knight of the Tusk, which they now can't afford to recast. And we can leave open Bone to Ash to counter it on the way back down. Take no damage. So they did have the land, so we don't get to counter it now. That's alright, though. We bought ourselves a turn. Mill them. Alright, so they're empty-handed, and we don't have good blocks, so we want to get something on the board. So I am going to tap out for Frilled Sea Serpent here, so we can start tussling with this Knight of the Tusk. Again, just trying to protect our life total and let our Patient Rebuilding do the work. If I were the opponent, I probably wouldn't have played my land there. Wow, that was a ridiculous mill. They've got Ajani, second opponent in a row with an Ajani. What is going on here? And Ajani's Last Stand. Good gravy. Glad those are in the graveyard. So I can keep open Bone to Ash and play Omen Speaker, so I am going to do so. And then we get to filter around the top of our library. 7th mana lets us start getting unblockable with the Frilled Sea Serpent if we want, but I don't think that's relevant. The Death Toucher I will keep on top, though, just in case things get wild. And let's see, yeah. I have no interest in attacking. You've got only a couple turns left. We just want to stay alive, so. There it is. All right. Patient Rebuilding takes it down. Death Toucher, more like Butt Toucher. Yeah, I don't know what the Dagger Basilisk proclivities are, but this was not the game that we find out. All right, so picked up a second win here. That's terrific. Deck seems to be doing reasonably well. We've got a good mix of interaction and counter spells and early place to hold down the fort, and then yeah, 2 for 2, doing well. Yeah, we were able to take the first game with our Air Force, and the second game with our mill plan. So far so good. I would love it if our third opponent in a row didn't have the Ajani Planeswalker. That's playing against Planeswalkers is not something I'm looking to do. Although I suppose our opponents are probably sitting there saying the same thing about patient rebuilding and what a pain in the butt that is. So turnabout is fair play, I guess. Yeah, I think this is key. We got some lands and spells. We got some of our more powerful ground creatures. And we'll be able to get this Aviation Pioneer and his Thopter friend out. Turn 2 Millstone. Get some. Yeah. You know what's up. You see what's coming for you rolled. Be afraid. Be very afraid. Alright, let's jam Aviation Pioneer. So now we can soak up, we can just bounce with the Daybreak Chaplain and have a flyer to chip in to negate their lifelink if we want. Would love a land off the top here. Yeah, patient rebuilding, living the dream, absolutely. The mill dream is alive and well. Land off the top would be great. Oh, really? Alright, you got a 3/3 first striking lifelink. Yeah, not blocking that. Alright. So I'm just going to mill our opponent now. We're not doing anything else. Ooh. Yeah, don't want you to have murder, so works out. We've got disperse if we feel like we want to use it. So if they attack with the Drill Master, I'm happy to trade with the Pioneer. So I'm also happy to trade the Thopter for that and let these keep bouncing off each other. I'm not going to attack. I mean, I don't really think we're getting anywhere. Chipping in for the 1 there. I want to just kind of manage the board, manage our life total as best we can. If we can get a land off the top, we've got some powerful 5s coming in that look really good on this board. So sure, you can keep gaining life. Every creature they cast now gains life. This thing is plinking away for extra life. So the more the time passes, the more challenging it is to... If you have a trick, I'm happy for you to use it on your Daybreak Chaplain here. Otherwise, we'll just soak up a point of damage. That's fine. I don't feel the need to disperse anything here, so we'll just go back to our turn, and like clockwork, there's a land off the top. I am going to run out the Gearsmith Guardian, both because we get an extra point of toughness, and now I'm going to chip in because we've got better blocks back now. And, we're not necessarily, patient rebuilding is guaranteed mill every turn. This is sort of incidental at this point. We want to keep playing to the board, so we're not necessarily committed 100% to the mill plan. So, getting threats and chipping in damage when we can, I think, is going to be good. More life, jeez. It's a good thing we've got a mill strategy in this deck because this opponent has so much life gain. It's like ridiculous. 2, 4, 5. So they're tapped out. So if we attack, so I'm going to attack with both of these. If they want to trade their entire board for Gearsmith Guardian, I'm fine with that. Otherwise, you can take 6, which I was assuming they would do. And then I'm going to get the Gin of Wishes in play so I can start chipping in more in the air, and then down the line we've got these wish counters that we can take advantage of. And depending on what our draws are, I need to say and do totally insane things with 100% commitment. Okay, I'll take that under consideration. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Gain 4 life. Well, if we rip Patient Rebuilding, they're going to feel pretty bad about that. So we have some options here. We can activate the Djinn and just play a card for free, though I think I'd rather get more shirtless streams. Yeah, I don't think the internet has any interest in me doing shirtless streams. Appreciate the input, but I don't think the people are demanding shirtless streams. Just you, which, you know, I appreciate the sentiment there. I'm gonna attack with our flyer. I would like to do you damage. I'm gonna get the Thornhide Wolves in play here. I left this back because they have a bunch of 1 toughness stuff that if push comes to shove, I'm happy to trade the Thopter with. And again, I just want to have as many options as possible for preserving our life total and continuing to make, you know, more powerful plays. We've got stuff like Thornhide Wolves and Gin of Wishes, and they've got, you know, like these Rustwing Falcons and Child of Knights and stuff. You know, I just think fundamentally we're doing more powerful stuff than our opponent, and so we should prioritize making as many high-impact plays onto the board as we can right now, and doing what we can to keep our life total high. Unless you have something in your hand, you don't have good attacks here, so yeah. All right, so I like attacking here with the Djinn. Attacking. We're not going to attack with this because it just dies to the Rustwing. I don't know of a particularly good trick that really blows us out for blue or black. I mean, if they have a removal spell, we could always disperse our Djinn. That's certainly an option. Or, you know, they're still at 22, so. What's the arena version of flipping the table in Outrage? Do that. I mean, I suppose I could flip the actual table all my computer stuff is on in Outrage. I don't know if I'm actually physically strong enough to do that. Yeah, I think I could probably still pull it off. This table is actually not that heavy. I don't think that's a super smart plan, though. I guess alternatively, the arena version of flipping the table in Outrage is just conceding in response to my opponent doing something innocuous. Really in the tank about this block. Rage strength. Yeah. Swing at you for 3, response flips table. Yeah, that seems completely rational. All right, so let's do some damage. Hi, kitty. Hi. Yeah, we're streaming some Magic. You were just taking a nap in your cat bed, but if you want to sit on my lap, I'm happy to have that. Alright, so I'm going to get another flyer in play here, and then we've got either Disperse or a Millstone activation available, depending on what our opponent gets up to here. Regal Bloodlord. At the beginning of each end step, if you gained life, create a bat. Oh, we don't have a counterspell for that, so we're going to let that resolve. And then in response to that trigger, we will bounce your Regal Bloodlord and pump up our defensive blocker. Take your whole turn. Yeah, you can get your 1 life, but no bats for you. Alright, let's play our land. Let's attack in with our flyers and I want to get in with the wolves. Yeah, let's get in with the wolves. Start getting busy here. Work on their life total. They have bad blocks in the air. Yeah, bad blocks on the ground. Got them to 9. And then, let's see, 4, 6. If I play this, that gets us 8 flying, 9 flying power, and they have 1 blocker. So if we draw a spell, we could lethal them. So I think I'll do that, because our life total is high enough where we can kind of take a hit if we want. Who's that? Yeah. Yeah, Regal Bloodlord. No surprise there. Yeah, you can gain your life. They'll get their bat. Let's see if they want to do any attacking. Suspect not. Yeah, you get your bat. You know, gain another life. Yeah, so this Regal Bloodlord is going to be kind of annoying, but get our mill on. Speaking of getting our mill on, I'm just going to slam Patient Rebuilding here. And let's see, 2, 3, 4. So I'm not going to attack because they could trade all of their flyers for our Jin, and we won't have gotten any value out of it, which we don't necessarily want to do. Slam. Alright, so they got the Lich's Caress. That's fine. They could start stringing together some attacks in the air if they want, but I think we're in okay shape right now. Oh man, I'm so glad we milled this Epicure of Blood. I hope they don't have more. That's a really potent combo with the Sejanni's Welcome and the Regal Bloodlord that would have wiped us out real fast. More 90s in the chat room. Yeah, I mean, I'm pro 90s. I'll leave it to you guys to bring the 90s thunder for right now, though. I'm gonna... yeah, we're gonna end up using a timeout here probably while I think this through. We don't have good attacks. I think we still have reasonable blocks. Do I want to leave open Cancel and Millstone or get Frilled Sea Serpent? Most of their damage is coming through in the air, so I don't think Frilled Sea Serpent is super relevant right now, so I'm going to not attack. I'm going to leave open Cancel and Millstone and accelerate the mill plan. We got 4 cards in hand, so 15 in library. So we can get them to 13 and then 10 on my upkeep. So 3 turns we can mill them out with this. You're already gaining life. Going wide with bat. I'm going to cancel that. It pops up our win mages, so we have better blocks on defense, which helps preserve our life total here. And also because that guarantees that they gain life and get more bats every turn, whereas otherwise they have to work for it a little bit. So I think that's... all right, so...
Oh, really?
Hello, we're streaming some Magic. Yeah, you can go to attacks. So them casting the Waltz there and getting back the Epicure isn't great for us. That's going to really start doing a number on our life total next turn, particularly in combination with the Leon and Vanguard. So that's their plan for taking us out. So we need to... Oh, perfect. Got rid of their Hieromancer's Cage and their Neonate, which plays really nicely with what they're trying to set up here. Milled 3 lands, so we got to draw 3 more cards. Okay, so we know they have an Epicure, and we don't want that in play. So we're going to keep this Bone to Ash available. But we only have 3 islands, so we can't make any other plays. So we're going to pass the turn. We're going to Bone to Ash the Epicure and get a mill activation. And all right, so no thank you. We sort of interesting vampire. No, vampires like turn to dust. All right. Yeah, my wife was a little confused about what was going on there, that we're streaming Magic on the internet, but that's all right. I'm gonna just adjust that there, let her live her life in peace in the background of our stream. All right, 3 games in, going well so far. I'm gonna do one more. One more round. Ooh, Whisper Blood Liturgist. Alright. I'm gonna do one. Never be so lucky for them to publish a handbook. Keep us guessing. Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised about what took place there. That was a perfectly valid look of confusion. Typically, I've only just started streaming, so I've only done a few streams, and you know, she's been at work when I've done most of them, so she hasn't been home when I've been streaming, so she didn't know that this was happening, even though I did let her know it's a thing that I was going to start doing. Yeah, we'll keep this hand. We don't have any threats per se, but we can get our turn 2 Millstone out, draw some more cards on turn 3. Alright. Well, I'll see your artifact and raise you a Millstone. Max value. Alright, so go ahead and Divination here. Need more blue mana and threats, and we were rewarded with both. My icon looks like Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa. Is that the who is that? Is that the Aquaman guy? Is that who that is? Jason Momoa, Aquaman. Yeah, let's get Skyrider Patrol out. Take to the skies. Yeah, I guess this avatar does look like the guy who played Aquaman a little bit. That is not who that is, and I also didn't choose my avatar. That's just it rotates game by game, but. Alright, unfortunately, we don't have enough blue to get Surge Mare and Aven Wind Mage in play. So, what we'll do is we will. I don't have another target creature, so I can't pump this up. So, I don't need to waste that mana. I am just going to chip in for 2 in the air. We'll play a Wind Mage. Oh, he was also called Drogo. Okay. Alright, yeah. I definitely know who that is. Yeah, this definitely does have like a Jason Momoa, Khal Drago, Aquaman sort of hybrid motif going on. Excuse me, cat. Please don't scratch the window screen. Thank you. Oh. Well, because you rip the window screen when you scratch it. That's why I don't want you to do it. So you're going to death touch your guy onto mine. Okay. Yeah, nothing we can do about that. That was a nice play from the opponent. And they've got the apparatus that they can use to kill our Wind Mage at any point. So that's mildly annoying. Yeah, I'm not going to block because I would like to get in damage with my Wind Mage next turn. I will mill you, however. Titanic Growth? Yeah, I don't really want to deal with that. Alright, more green mana. Not exactly what we're looking for. I'm going to get the Surge Mare out just so we can soak up a little damage on the ground, and then we'll send in with the Wind Mage, get in for 2. So we can hold off the Child of Night. We've got Plummet open if they play a flyer. We've got a mill activation. And if they want to use their explosive apparatus to kill the Wind Mage, it's taking most of their mana, most of their turn. I'm fine with that. Plus, there's not really anything we can do about it. So, if they want to be meanies and throw a bomb at our bird wizard, that's their right. Now that's annoying. Alright, so we're definitely taking a hit here. But we'll dwindle that next turn. But that doesn't help us in the damage race, that's for sure. So let's get a mill in. Epicures of Blood running rampant around here. Alright, well unfortunately we don't have enough blue mana to do all the stuff we want, but can't have you with a 5/4 lifelinker, so let's shrink that down. And then let's attack for 2. And pass turn. So have we seen any flyers from them? No, not yet. Depending on what they do with this Basilisk, we might want to try... Oh, wow. Surge Mare can't be blocked by green creatures, so I could have been getting in with that for quite some time. That's good to know, because I think we want to potentially consider attacking with this. Surge Mare next turn to loot. Let's see. Alright, no attacks. I'll take it. Let's get our mill in. That's right. Just grinding you down. Max value. Showing you what value is all about over here in Milltown. Okay, good. Yeah, more nonsense we don't want to deal with, so it's good. Alright, so if we attack with Surge Mare, we can pump it once, get in for 2. I want to get rid of this plummet. I don't think it's going to be particularly good. We'll just attack with that. Do you have any responses? Do you want to block with your Child of Night? Otherwise, I will be doing some filtering. Yep, let's pump that up. Get in for 2. That's my mill face. Alright. Yep, I'd like to draw a card. And I will discard this plummet. And I'm not going to cast the other Wind Mage. I was planning on it, but now that we drew Essence Scatter, I can keep... Yeah, I'm not going to counter that. They can just bring it back next turn. Save this 1 point of damage isn't super relevant there. Okay, so now you have a 5/5 Death Toucher. That's annoying. Nothing you can do about that. What I can do is milling in tournament play is the dream. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to just chump block here with this Aven Wind Mage. I don't want to go down to 8. They're at 17. And hey, 17 Leclerc. I'm doing well. Thanks for stopping by. We're playing a blue-green Mill Flyers deck here. And we're currently 3-0 with it. So it's been going well so far, but we're in a bit of a spot here. We've been a little choked on blue mana, so like we haven't been able to leave open our counter spells. How we've wanted to. I should not have played that forest. I should have saved that to mill with my Surge Mare. That was dumb. I'm going to play this Wind Mage since we have a counter spell that we can still keep open, and we can use that as another chunk blocker for this Basilisk. Yeah, the green cards, Leclerc, aren't really adding much to the mill plan per se, but we've got some. We've got the what's it called? Sky Rider Patrol. So that's one of the big reasons that we've got green, and then we've got like a Thornhide Wolves and a Plummet and a Basilisk. So just sort of solid ways for us to sort of hold down the fort and take to the skies a little bit while we try and get the mill plan going. Right now that mill plan's not going particularly well. We have Patient Rebuilding. Yeah, the green's just for the creatures. You're right. The green's just for the creatures, and we've got like a plummet. But patient rebuilding is our obviously big payoff for the mill strategy. Yeah, if you want to keep filtering through your deck, go nuts. What I would really love to get here is either our Totally Lost or one of our two Disperses. To deal with this 5/5 Death Toucher. Once we can figure out what to do with that, I think we're in fine shape. I'm just going to block here. We're not winning with damage. Well, that's annoying. Yeah, we definitely got our backs against the wall now, because I was definitely considering attacking and looting away one of these. Well, I can play the Frilled Sea Serpent, but unfortunately it doesn't. And what's the most? Hey, Milk Crate. What's the most realistic card? Not sure exactly what you mean by that. Realistic. In what sense? Like realistic to be in our deck. Realistic to. Like which magic card is most true to like something in real life? Yeah, murder. No, Vendetta, that's a good one, yeah. Speaking of murder, did they have it? No, that was our last opponent. Alright, so this is a problem. They now have a 12/12 Death Touch Trampler. So we are going to soak up 6 damage here and take 8. So we're going to go down to 5. But no, not going down to 5. 12, 6. Did I? All right, I guess I can't do math then. Yeah, Smallpox. Yeah, Smallpox is an older card for sure. All right, so that was a 12/12 Trample Death Touch. We blocked with a 4/6. We were at 13. Not sure how we died there, but all right, so let's keep going here. If you're trying to build a realistic deck, yeah, I mean like there's lots of cats, there's lots of humans, there's lots of birds. For creature types that are realistic, there's this hand is not very good. Yeah, this is much better. Having the Omen Speakers. I'm gonna bottom that. We've got 2 Omen Speakers, so we can scry. for more lands if we feel like we need them. We've got 4 here, so see what the top of our deck has for us. I'm gonna bottom the Disperse, keep the Aven Wind Mage because we need to start getting a threat on the board, so that'll be a good play next turn. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Undercity Troll exists. I'm going to attack with the Omen Speaker if they want to trade their Field Creeper to soak up the damage, go nuts. We will then play Aven Wind Mage. Ha! Yeah. Alright, we'll take 4 from their Field Creeper, that's fine. No blocks. Yeah, we are now playing against Jason Momoa, the Avatar. Because we have both Essence Scatter and Omen Speaker, I'm going to attack with the Aven Wind Mage to get in 2. Then I'm going to play the Omen Speaker. And yeah, Auto Tapper is going to tap properly. So now we can look at the top of our library, and we do have a counter open for their next creature. Let's keep both of those. We'll get the Patient Rebuilding after we get our land. So they've got red as well. Good to know. All right. Yep, you got our Wind Mage. I'm just going to counter that. Keep 3 power off the board. Milk Crate, I don't know that this is available. As far as I know, Arena is not available in VR. But Goblin Motivator. I'm going to let that 1/1 resolve. We've saved this counterspell for something more relevant. Yeah. You're going to feel real silly you played a Hieromancer's Cage on an Omen Speaker next turn when I drop Patient Rebuilding, that's for sure. Alright, so let's get Patient Rebuilding in play and hold this back to block. Shields are down on Bone to Ash, so couldn't have countered that anyway. We'll definitely take our medicine here. Can't kill any of this, so we'll just soak up 2 damage. Take 10. Not great. Hopefully we'll mill a land. Alright, we get to draw 2 cards off Patient Rebuilding. Alright, so let's get the Thornhide Wolves in play. We gotta start soaking up some damage here so we can try and live. Our life total is very low. Oh, that's really frustrating. So I think we're just dead here. Can't take 4, so we have to block there. That's 5, 6, 7. So if we block here, we take 5 and go to 1. Yikes. Hopefully we can... Alright, so we got an extra card off the mill. Alright. So they've got 5 creatures, and we can either get to 3 ourselves with Frilled Sea Serpent, or take them down to 4. So I think we're dead here, but maybe our opponent will make a mistake, so we'll play it out. Yeah, that. We have no attacks. Yeah, I mean, this was a good draw from us. It's just an unfortunate thing when we had counter spells up. Our opponent played non-creature spells. Don't attack with all. No. Block. Block. Yeah, so that was a tough one to lose. We were just a little slow getting to the board. The heroic reinforcements not being, any creature spell that we could have countered instead, really just set us behind, which was unfortunate. We'll give it another whirl. Still got a loss to give. Hopefully we can roll off another 3-game win streak here and close out this draft strong. Cultural Marxist cardboard. All right, well that's yeah, this is a mulligan. Ugh. I'm gonna keep and scry anything that's not a land to the bottom. We can keep that. So we're gonna be a little slow out of the gate here. But we've got Omen Speaker on 2, scry the top of our deck to look for more lands, and then we've got alright, let's get the Omen Speaker out and dig for land. 2 lands. I would like blue and then green. We'll keep those both. We just want to be able to hit land drops. And, play to the board here. We'll get the Aviation Pioneer out next turn, which will make a flyer and an artifact, so that on 4 we can play Scholar of Stars, have an artifact in play to draw a card. We're not making big impact plays, but we are making plays. That Starcrown Stag is going to be moderately annoying. Let's see. So that's going to attack. It'll tap down our Scholar of Stars. If I leave this back, I could triple block the stag to kill it. I think having that option available is probably better than chipping in for 1 there. Yep. They've got all their mana open, but let's see how this block shakes out. Make them have it, I say. Alright, yeah, so you get through for some extra damage, but oh wow. Well, we got 2 tricks out of their hand, but we got massively blown out. And now we're very far behind. Alright, let's play Wall of Mist and Omen Speaker. I mean, we did get 2 tricks out of their hand. They're down to 1 card in hand. Keep those. No attacks. So, depending on what they draw, we might be able to stabilize a little bit here. Tap the Scholar, sure. Alright, so block the Daybreak Chaplain, block the Stag. If your last card in hand is a trick, go nuts. Yeah, that's a good one. All right. We know we're drawing a forest next turn, but we can divination and look for. Look for answers to these flyers here. Dwindle would be great. Yeah, so as is, we take 4 in the air. Yeah, so I think we have to divination here and look for answers. Because we know that our wind mage would just get tapped anyway. I'm going to pump this up and attack, loot away one of our lands. Don't need this forest. Gonna need to draw an answer pretty quick here. Yeah, plummet is actually heroic reinforcements. Seriously. Ugh. That's 6 and just dead. Alright. Heroic reinforcements off the top. And yeah, even having another blocker back wouldn't have mattered. We still would have died to the heroic reinforcements. So, you know, digging for the plummet or the disperse, I think was correct. Yep. Time to uninstall the game indeed. Time to rage quit. So got off to a hot start there, and then lost a few close ones. You know, I think our deck was probably slightly better than average, but you know, that's how the games play. You know, our opponents had the draws they needed, a couple of heroic reinforcements, you know, to get us, and we weren't able to find our plummet or our disperse in time, or we got to our patient rebuilding a little too late, so we weren't able to get the mill plan going. But yeah, that was a fun deck, and you know, those first 3 games really showcased how powerful patient rebuilding can be if you can keep your life total high enough and get it online. You know, we just put our opponents into a pretty strong lock with patient rebuilding, and then just back it up with our counter spells to keep them from going wide or getting stuff like the Epicura Blood, Regal Bloodlord nonsense in play. And you know, the first game I think really showcased the power of the Flyers and the Skyrider Patrol in particular, which I think is great. But you know, ultimately didn't get as far as we want. But I'm going to sign off for now. I'm going to wrap the stream up here. I have some other stuff to do, unfortunately, so I can't hop into another draft like I was originally intending to. But I want to thank everyone for stopping by and hanging out and watching the stream and for chatting. It was great having y'all here. And you know, I'll be streaming most weekdays this week, Eastern time during the day. So you can stay tuned here. Feel free to throw me a follow if you want and get notified when I go live later this week. Or you can follow me on Twitter at @NCleveland. And appreciate you all hanging out. And thanks for joining me here on this rainy day for a draft. It's great to have you all, and have a great rest of the day. See ya.